Today I'm going to show you the 6-step process I use to learn any song perfectly on guitar, just like how the artist plays it. Let's go. So, quick backstory on me. I've been on YouTube for over 10 years, and in that time I've made a ton of guitar covers. And a lot of these covers of mine have done really well. They have hundreds of thousands of views, and my most viewed cover has over 1 million views. And one thing I focused on for all of these covers of mine is trying to get as close as possible to the original song, trying to get it as perfect as possible in how I cover it and play it. So this is a skill I've been working on for over 10 years, and at this point, I feel like I have a set process that I can share in a video like this. All right, without any further ado, let's jump into the process. Step 1, the basics. So these things I think will be pretty obvious to a lot of people, but I do want to include them here just so that I'm thorough and I cover the whole process. So the very first thing I do is I figure out the tuning for the song that I'm trying to learn. This goes without saying, but you do want to make sure you're playing in the correct tuning, since that'll just make everything easier, and it'll be how the artist plays it as well. To figure out the tuning, I'll usually just do a quick Google search, or I'll find a highly rated tab, look at the tuning there, and usually that'll be pretty accurate. And speaking of highly rated tabs, that's the other thing I do in this step. I go on a site called Ultimate Guitar personally, but there are other guitar tab websites out there. But I go on ultimateguitar.com and I just try and find a tab for the song that I'm learning that is highly rated, usually at least 5 stars, and ideally with a lot of ratings. That usually means it's pretty good. And that can serve as a good starting point to learn the song. Sometimes, depending on the tab, that might even be close to all you need, but a lot of tabs are not accurate, especially not 100% accurate. So keep that in mind, but it can be a good starting point to learn some parts of the song and things like that. Step 2, watch the artist perform the song live. So this step I think can be really helpful for figuring out the specific fingerings that the artist uses to play the song. So on guitar, it's possible to play the same note in many different spots on the neck. So it can be really easy to be playing a part of a song in the wrong part of the neck, and it can be difficult to actually realize that you're doing it incorrectly. So one quick thing I figured out that can help with this is just pull up a YouTube video of the artist performing the song live. And usually I'm just looking to see if at a specific part in the song, are my hands in the same place on the neck as theirs? And that can be just a quick thing to check to make sure you're actually playing the song correctly. One good example of this actually is Master of Puppets by Metallica. A lot of tabs that I've seen will tell you to play the song like this. But if you watch how they play it live, they actually play it like this. I actually played it the incorrect way in my Master of Puppets cover from way back when, so this can be a really easy mistake to make, and it doesn't take very long to check. So it's definitely worth doing if you want to play the song perfectly. Step 3, watch other covers. So I don't always do this step, but in certain cases it can be pretty helpful. What I do here is I try and find a video that looks to be pretty high quality and clearly shows how a person is playing the song. And this can be a little more helpful than live videos because cover videos on YouTube will typically be a lot more close up. It's a lot easier to see how someone is playing something versus live videos can be changing shots all the time, be a lot more zoomed out, that kind of thing. However, one big thing to keep in mind with watching covers is that a lot of people will just learn a song based off of some tab and it won't be 100% correct. And sometimes you'll see, especially once you learn a song the correct way, you'll see a lot of people making the same mistake in cover videos. For example, Master of Puppets. Also, one thing I've seen that is kind of rare, but it can be actually really convenient, is some people will transcribe a song on their own and make a tab on their own as well. And this can be a lot more accurate than some things you'll find on like Ultimate Guitar, for example. So that can be something to keep an eye out for. Some videos will mention that, in the title or something, there's a tab. Those can be worth checking out as well. Step 4, slow the song down. So at this point, you've probably figured out the song pretty well that you're trying to learn. But sometimes you really want to figure out the nitty-gritty details and make sure you're playing things exactly how the artist is, especially for fast sections like guitar solos and things like that. It can be difficult to figure things out. So what I do here is I just slow things down, and that way it's a lot easier to hear the details and make sure you're actually playing the correct notes. There's two ways that I do this. The quick way is you can just search the song up on YouTube, and YouTube lets you slow down videos, so that can be a really quick way to do it. The one downside is they only have preset speeds that you can choose from. So if you want to set it at, let's say, like 20% slower or 10% slower, what I do is I use Audacity, which is totally free. This lets you slow down a song without changing the pitch of it, which is important. And that can be good for slowing it any amount that you want and having more control over that. So you will need to have a bit of an ear for this step to be effective, since you'll need to be able to tell if you're actually playing the right note or not. If you're just starting out playing guitar, this can be a bit difficult, but it is a good skill to practice. And you can always just really slow a song down and just try and figure out if what you're playing sounds similar or not to what you're hearing. Step 5, try to find an instrumental version of the song, or stem files. So this step complements the previous one I was talking about, and here you're trying to find just an instrumental version of the song or the isolated guitar tracks from the original recording. If you do manage to find this, it can make hearing the guitar parts a lot simpler and easier to do, because there's no vocal over top, so it's a lot easier to hear. And if you want to slow a song down, having the instrumental version can help a lot with that too. Not a lot of songs have an instrumental version that's publicly available, but if you do find it, it can be pretty helpful, so it's worth taking a look. Step 6, practice perfectly. So up until this point, you can really do the steps that I already talked about in any order that makes sense for you. You probably want to do step 1 first, but the steps in between you can do in any order, and it's probably fine. But this final step I really think should come last, and that's when you sit down to really practice a song, develop the muscle memory, and make sure that you're able to play it up to tempo. In my experience, this should be the last thing you do, because if you spend a lot of time practicing before you've got the song perfectly learned, then you're really just practicing potentially an incorrect way to play it. And if you do change later on how you play it and you discover you're actually incorrect in how you're playing it at some part, then you're gonna have to spend even more time practicing and relearning and redeveloping muscle memory to play the song the correct way. So it just takes a lot longer. But if you do the first 5 steps that I talked about and really take the time to make sure you're getting as close to perfect in how you learn the song, then you can just practice knowing that you're playing it the right way, and then it takes you less time overall. All right, and that covers the entire process. I hope that was helpful, and let me know down in the comments if you have your own tips and tricks that you use for learning songs. And if I do more videos like this in the future, let me know what kind of topics you want to see me cover. And until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.